Growing up, I faced significant challenges with math, struggling to comprehend the subject. Unfortunately, this led to hurtful experiences, as tutors and classmates would often belittle me using derogatory terms and isolating me during math class. These memories continue to have a negative impact on me, instantly transporting me back to those difficult years. It wasn't until I turned 24 that I received a diagnosis of dyscalculia, also known as math dyslexia. Now, at the age of 27, I reflect on a recent incident that sheds light on the power of standing up against injustice. In December, a particular customer, let's call her Karen, crossed a line with her disrespectful behavior. To provide some context, Karen had been a regular at the store for a long time, even before I started working there 3 years ago. However, it was approximately 2 years ago that she began treating me with disdain. Karen had always been a bit grumpy and rude, but nothing out of the ordinary. Unfortunately, a false accusation aggravated our relationship further. A rumor circulated that I had stolen money from our elderly neighbor, Mary, who was an old family friend. In truth, Mary had kindly lent me a small sum to help pay off some debts which I had repaid by the time these accusations emerged. However, Karen, a person who passes judgment without considering all the facts, quickly transformed her dislike for me into an intense hatred. One day, after the rumors spread, Karen's agitation reached a peak. Even when I asked her if she wanted a receipt, she responded with eye-rolling and a snide remark, "Of course, I'm a regular here, and you know I always want my receipt when it comes to the likes of you." Though I understood her preference, it was store policy to ask every customer. This incident was just one example of her ill treatment. She even berated me for showing kindness to a child in the store's Pix-Mix section and reported me to the boss for not taking it seriously enough. However, I did take the situation seriously, addressing the issue with the child's mother, educating him about appropriate behavior, and promptly cleaning and sanitizing the area. Karen's behavior continued to escalate. She completely ignored my greetings whenever I encountered her at the store, purposely avoiding my presence. Strangely, I found it somewhat amusing that my mere existence could trigger such a strong negative reaction in someone without any legitimate reason. However, everything changed one fateful December day. December was an exceptionally busy month for our small grocery store, being one of only 2 in our town. On this particular day, the store was bustling with customers, and I had already been working for a few hours when Karen approached my checkout counter. As I scanned her groceries, I concluded the transaction and asked, "Would you like the receipt, ma'am?" To my astonishment, Karen looked me dead in the eye and asked, "I have a question for you." Caught off guard, I replied, "Yes, ma'am." "Are you just dense, or are you completely R-word?" I stood there, utterly stunned by her hurtful words. However, before I could react, an unexpected advocate came to my defense, a sweet old lady who happened to witness the exchange. She gasped in disbelief and confronted Karen. "What kind of language is that? How dare you?" Assertively, she continued, "I am a regular at this store as well. She should remember who I am and my needs." Firmly, the old lady responded, "It doesn't matter if you are a regular. It's her job to ask. It's not her job to be spoken to like that." Karen, now facing the consequences of her actions, struggled to justify her behavior. "I don't trust her. She stole money from Mary," she exclaimed. The sweet old lady, aware of the truth, snapped back. "I knew Mary, and I know her. Mary was like a third grandmother to her. She wouldn't dream of doing something like that to her. Shame on you." Overwhelmed by the emotional weight of the situation, I excused myself and retreated to the break room, seeking solace. Moments later, my manager entered the break room and offered a sympathetic ear. I shared my side of the story, shedding light on Karen's consistent mistreatment toward me. Understanding the gravity of the situation, she was the one who had recommended I get tested for dyscalculia. My manager advised me to take the day off, encouraging me to seek comfort from my therapist. She assured me that she would find someone to cover my shift, emphasizing that I needn't worry about Karen. As it turned out, that day happened to be my last shift of the year. Days later, when I returned to work, I discovered that Karen had been banned from the store. The sweet old lady, along with several other witnesses who had stood in line during the incident, testified to my manager about Karen's outburst. Their accounts, filled with outrage, provided compelling evidence that allowed my manager to escalate the matter to the higher authorities, resulting in Karen's indefinite ban. Word of the incident reached the other grocery store up the street, prompting them to follow suit and ban her as well. Apparently, I wasn't the only store clerk whom she had terrorized. Now, Karen must drive over an hour to access a grocery store. It seems justice has been served. In conclusion, this incident serves as a reminder of the importance of speaking up against mistreatment and standing together against injustice. Though I endured years of struggle and hurtful experiences, the support of kind-hearted individuals like the sweet old lady and my understanding manager has helped me regain confidence and find solace. With their support, I am determined to overcome the challenges presented by dyscalculia and continue to grow, both personally and professionally. My cousin's family, known for their manipulative ways, had always taken advantage of others, including family members and even the government. My cousin's daughter, an 8-year-old, used to spend more time at my mom's house with my sister and me because she felt unloved by her parents. As if exploiting people wasn't enough, my cousin decided to homeschool her daughter in the 2nd grade, claiming it was due to bullying at school. However, the truth was that she simply wanted an excuse not to work as she was lazy. Sadly, she neglected her duty to actually educate her daughter. Even her husband didn't show any interest in their child when she was born. He worked as a mechanic at a local car shop, but was also receiving under the table payments, resulting in unemployment benefits. Meanwhile, my cousin and her mother lived off the husband's income, with my cousin also babysitting kids from the neighborhood. Their financial situation was dire, with a staggering $80,000 in debt, 3 brand-new cars they could barely afford, a house, and other bills. It was a mystery how they managed to scrape by on a mechanic's salary, babysitting income, and unemployment benefits. Due to my own circumstances, I had to spend a few months with them while searching for a place of my own. During that time, I grew close to my cousin's daughter, who confided in me about the abuse she endured. I knew I had to address the situation, but I wanted to handle it through the courts, avoiding involvement of Child Protective Services, CPS. However, it's worth noting that where I live, not reporting abuse to CPS is against the law. I collected video and audio evidence of the abuse, intending to present it during the court hearing and secure custody without involving CPS. A couple of weeks before the court date, tragedy struck when the daughter stepped on a nail while playing with friends. The injury was severe, requiring an 11-day hospital stay. I suspected that CPS had been notified and intentionally delayed her release to coordinate their involvement. 2 days after leaving the hospital, CPS knocked on their door. The daughter bravely shared her experiences with the caseworker, even expressing that she would prefer death to enduring such mistreatment at the hands of her parents. The CPS caseworker also spoke with me, and I provided her with all the information I had, including the ongoing legal actions. While my cousin and her husband were aware of the upcoming court hearing involving their daughter, they had no idea who was behind it. However, the caseworker assured me that she would handle the situation from that point forward. Soon after the caseworker's departure, the blame game began, and I was unjustly accused of reporting them to CPS. Consequently, I was thrown out onto the streets. Driven by a desire for justice, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I reported the garage where my cousin's husband worked to the local business licensing office for paying employees under the table. I also contacted the unemployment office, revealing that my cousin's husband was receiving under the table payments from his workplace. Additionally, I reached out to all the parents of the children my cousin babysat, informing them about the ongoing child abuse investigation by CPS. Furthermore, I reported the falsified homeschooling records to the school board, emphasizing that CPS was looking into the matter. As a result of my actions, the husband lost his job and unemployment benefits, and the garage was hit with a hefty fine, which they sued the husband for. Most of the parents immediately stopped using my cousin as a babysitter after receiving the news, and the remaining few ceased once my cousin lost her house. Moreover, they also lost all 3 cars, which were still being financed. With no home, no cars, no jobs, and no money, CPS took custody of my cousin's daughter and granted me custody as the next suitable relative capable of raising her. As for myself, after being evicted, I returned home and used my savings to purchase their former house once it went on the market. Now, I have the house and the custody of my cousin's daughter. Meanwhile, my cousin, her husband, and her mother are all in jail, facing charges ranging from child abuse to fraud. I enrolled the daughter back in school, and my sister and mother assist by babysitting the neighborhood children while I'm at work. If they hadn't falsely accused me or involved me in their blame game, they would still be free to deceive and defraud others. However, with their daughter safe and in a better environment, I would have let go of my reports and allowed them to face the consequences solely in court. Around a decade ago, I found myself in a lucrative job at a company that manufactured various products for railroads. With my technical expertise, which included reading blueprints, constructing complex devices, and holding welding certifications, I became a valuable asset to the small department I worked in. Our tight-knit team of 2-3 individuals had an excellent rapport and constantly pushed each other to achieve higher levels of production. However, things took a turn when my colleague left for a better job, leaving me as the sole member of the department. Fortunately, my supervisor was supportive, possessing a great sense of humor and allowing me to focus on my work while providing assistance whenever needed. Our primary responsibilities involved assembling signal enclosures, mast and ladder houses for railroads. Fast forward 3 years, and the company's owners made the decision to relocate to a larger facility, resulting in the rearrangement of several departments. Unfortunately, my department was merged with a completely unfamiliar one, filled with individuals who had no understanding of my role. Initially, the situation seemed tolerable, but it quickly became evident that my new supervisor lacked the supportiveness of my previous one and turned out to be quite deceptive. For instance, I was assigned the task of assisting the prototype department in assembling a new, lighter type of mast and ladder house. During this process, I identified issues and suggested improvements. However, my new supervisor grew increasingly dissatisfied with my involvement. He would approach me with frustration, stand over my shoulder, and eventually interrupt me in an angry tone, demanding to know how much longer it would take. Maintaining my composure, I calmly responded, "I have 4 more hours today and 8 hours every day after that." Confused, he sought an explanation, to which I clarified, "This is my department. This is where I work, and these are my responsibilities. If it takes 2 months, then that's how long it takes." Eager to have the last word, he retorted, "You work where and when I tell you," before storming off. The following day, I was summoned to the office and coerced into signing a letter that officially declared my transfer to my new supervisor's department. However, this change didn't bother me much, as I observed from a distance in my new department the chaos unfolding in my old department. Stock, hardware, parts, and orders began piling up without anyone attending to them. Nobody else possessed the knowledge or skills required to handle the work I used to undertake. Within a couple of weeks, my old department was in disarray, with items haphazardly scattered and orders missing their deadlines, prompting higher-ups to seek answers. As anticipated, I was called into the office once again, and my new supervisor promptly blamed me, not allowing me to utter a word. Without any valid reason or paperwork, I was let go. However, the look of relief on my ex-supervisor's face was priceless. Little did he know what lay ahead. I left the office with a smile, knowing something they didn't. I was the only person who knew how to build the mast and ladder structures. Taking a well-deserved break at home for approximately 2 weeks, I anticipated their call. Deliberately ignoring their initial dozen attempts to reach me, I finally answered the phone, and they asked if I could return to rebuild the structures and train new hires for my old department. With confidence, I responded, "Sure, but it'll cost you $20,000. While this amount might seem excessive at first glance, considering the millions the company made from these products, they had no choice. It was either pay me the $20,000 or risk losing millions. The negotiations went back and forth, but eventually they conceded. In the end, I received $20,000 for just 2 days of work, leaving the company utterly helpless. The icing on the cake was when my ex-supervisor, who had caused significant trouble and cost the company $20,000, was ultimately fired for his incompetence.